I learned something about myself that I haven't known for a long time. And I learned it as Jamie and I have been trying some new and different things. And it all has to do with how I react to fear and how Jamie reacts to fear. So we're going to talk about that today on the Streaking Podcast. We're looking forward to it. Let's start streaking.
Awesome. Hi. You really want to talk about fear? Actually, we're in October. Let's talk about fear.
Let's talk. Hey, I didn't even think of that as far as the talking about fear and the fear factor and where we are in regards to October and Halloween and all of the scary decorations that are out and about. I've seen a lot of moms take their kids around our neighborhood looking at the scary. And when did the big skeletons, the scary decorations, when did the big skeletons?
I don't know, but whoever did them hit it big, because I can't find a neighborhood that doesn't have them now. The big giant skeletons that are hanging in the yard, they're all over. So kudos to whoever made that, because you've done a good job. People love it.
We haven't ever gotten into that.
That's why I was laughing, because I'm
like,
we're not that kind of fear.
You like the cutesy Halloween decorations, the little cute spiders that are in our flowers.
Yeah, more cutesy.
The little Halloween book that's on our mantle, all of those things. So as we talk about fear, I've got to share with you an experience. And this often happens to us when we are out walking, we're talking, and we're exploring many different areas and facets of our life. It's as if we get into these philosophical conversations and contemplate the universe as it relates to us in our marriage.
Yes. Keep going.
I know. So as we were walking and talking, Jamie and I we're trying different and new things. And
we're trying something new that's taking a lot of our mind share, because we're learning. So it's a little mind bending. But it's also something that we're doing together.
Right.
But it's also something that's a little bit scary for us. Like it has the potential to go really well, or it has the potential to be like, oh, that didn't go so well. So it has that element to it.
Yes. So that element brings in a level of fear. And for the first time ever, when we were out on our walk, I recognized something that I had not recognized before. And I've been making this a matter of prayer, but I didn't know exactly for what I was praying in regards to an answer or to understanding. So we're on our walk, and I think it was after our walk. It wasn't necessarily right on our walk. It was like the next.
And
it's like we had come in from our walk or something, but I remember saying to you, because I think we were in these chairs right here when I said, I need to tell you something.
Yes. So that was when you told me, but it was spurred from something early the day before. And that was that you had gone to lunch with someone who is also doing what we're doing.
Yes.
And you came back very excited to talk about what he was doing, and in your excitement of, oh, we should do this and we should try this, I was not excited. Let
me modify. Maybe we should do this.
Right.
I didn't say we should. I was saying maybe we should.
Maybe we should do this. Yeah. You just were excited about it.
I was very excited.
You were excited to share. But my response was one of a little bit of nervousness. I was like,
right.
Is that, and you, because we've been married long enough, you picked up on it quickly, because we were just talking on the phone. We were just
34 years of marriage.
Yes, and you picked up on it right away. And we're both working on being more what we're calling transparent and honest. That when one person says, "Well, I feel like this makes you nervous," and that's what you said. I feel like this makes you nervous, and I was able to be like, "Yes, it does make me nervous." And then we went to another conversation.
Now, transparency is another thing that we can talk about, which I think we'll get into in this conversation, but keep going.
So then we went to a place again of, why am I nervous? And it was a feeling of like, well, I feel like you want to go faster again. And that makes me nervous. I'm like, I don't want to go fast, because I want to slow down a little bit and learn what we're doing. And I feel like you were saying, well, but we're missing stuff. We've got to go faster. Yeah. So that was kind of the end of that conversation a little bit.
And it was a little heated.
That day.
I mean, let's just be honest. It was tense. It wasn't
I wouldn't say it was heated, but I would say that
it was contentious.
Yes.
But it was tense. I mean, we both felt the tension.
Yes.
And that tension lasted through the evening.
Tension is a good way to describe it, because what I felt like it was both of us feeling like, well, I want to move in a direction, but the other one doesn't. And so how are we going to work this out? Because we've agreed that we've got to be on board, and before we move, that we've got to both feel like we're okay.
Right.
And so I think the tension came in of you feeling like, well, we've got to move quickly, and me feeling like we got to slow down. And that tension was like, well, what are we going to do? If you feel like we got to move quickly and I feel like we got to slow down,
what does that look like?
What does that look like?
Yeah. So the next morning, I was thinking about it. We talked, and the reason I said on a walk, because I think we talked about it a little bit, but then I know why. Sorry, guys. I know that this is kind of all over the place, but it was such a moment of revelation that we have to do the setup right. We had not gone on our walk yet.
No, we hadn't.
And I asked you to come in because I wanted to talk to you about what had happened, the tension that was between us. And
I was afraid that you were going to, I was afraid, great, he's going to bring me in and try to persuade me. Which I have done in the past. Uh-huh. And so it was a valid fear. Uh-huh. But remember I told you, I said, I'm not going to persuade you to try to do something. I learned something and I want to share it with you. Yeah. So I brought her in, and we are sitting here in the office, and we are looking at some of the different things. We keep track of what it is we're doing on computer spreadsheets and so forth. And I was showing her all the things that I was thinking about. And then I said this. I said, I respond to fear with action, not with pullback or running. When I get scared, I want to act. I'm going to, and you could say FOMO, I'm going to fear of missing out on something. I'm afraid that if we don't act quickly enough, we're going to miss out. We're going to miss this opportunity. Yeah. And I was saying, I'm afraid if we act too quickly, we're going to make a mistake. We're going to make a mistake, and it's going to be not good. Yes. And what I realized right then, and I think this is the first time in our married life where we've been able to put a definition around, when I feel fear, I want to act. When you feel fear, you want to pull back. Mm-hmm. And so here are Jami and I on exact opposite ends of the spectrum. Mm-hmm. She wants to pull back. I want to press forward. And it's been interesting because we've had times where, because we've known that, and so, for example, you know that I'm going to kind of pull back, or you prepare yourself for the fact that she's going to want me to slow down. So sometimes it feels like you have to go even further. You're like, I gotta go faster and bring her along, or maybe it's like faster to, I'm going to stand my ground. I got to go even farther. I'm going to stand my ground. And I feel like I do the same thing and be like, well, I'm going to pull back even more, right, to stand my ground. And so we've had times where we've what we call go to our corners. We both go to our corners, which is further away even than what we were before, because we're going further into our place of fear. Right. Does that make sense? No, yeah, it makes. And what I see is, it's the first time though where I've recognized that that's how I respond to fear. That you were responding to fear. Well, and I think that I'm actually reacting to fear. It's not even responding to fear. I'm reacting to it, because we're going to press ahead. We're going to get it done. I'm going to be a man of action. I'm going to make sure that we get it taken care of, get the problem solved. And the way that you reacted to fear is, Let's slow down. I don't know how much I want to deal with this. This might take care of itself. Do you know what I mean? Yes. And so because those two things play on each other, I think there's been times that you felt like, she's not going to take any action. Like I've got to make this even happen. Yeah. She's not going to take any. And I know there's been times that I'm like, if I even give him a wink of affirmation, like if I even in the smallest way say there's a possibility I'm thinking that I'm okay with what you're talking about, he'll have it done before I go to bed. Like it'll be done. Well, for example, I'll give you a for instance on this. Several years ago, 2013, we were looking at, with 7 children, you need a large vehicle. And we had found a vehicle that was the NV 3500 Nissan.
It's a 12-passenger van that we liked. That was kind of cool. That we were like, you know what? If ever we were going to get a 12-passenger van, that would be the one. And we had some friends that had looked into it and saw it.
I was not excited to drive a big van like that. So I had been like, no. And then when we found the NV3500, I had talked to someone that said she loved it. I looked at it and I remember exactly, I said, you know what? There's a possibility I could like this van. Like, right. I think this one is okay. Right. I could maybe do this.
So we talked about it, but then Then the next morning she said, you know what? You gave a more affirmative answer than that. You gave a more affirmative answer than I could possibly do this. You gave an affirmative answer like, yeah, I could do this. I immediately found it and bought it.
Yep. That was it. I was like, I was still thinking about it.
I remember what it was. You said, if you can put a sound system in it that is a good sound system in it, then I would be interested.
Yeah.
I'm like, done.
But you moved, so I wasn't.
But that's okay. I think that expresses the point, because you're right. I moved very quickly, and you were like, I'm still analyzing.
Yes, I'm still thinking about it. That wasn't a yes. That was a one step further in the analysis.
But here's where it's caused problems in our marriage is both of us have always thought the other of us is, when you say anchored in our corner, that either Jeff is right, he's always making decisions, solving problems, or I'm always like, Jamie's right, she's always the one that makes sure we don't get into trouble. Mm-hmm. But not ever recognizing what was behind it. Because one of my tenets that I live by is any decision made in fear is usually the wrong decision.
Yeah.
But I didn't recognize that I was moving fearfully forward, because I thought, to your point, and what is often lauded in this world, and it's actually what we talked a little bit about as far as that engine and the brake, is the engine is the thing that gets the attention. Mm-hmm. Oh, look how many horsepower it has, look how fast it can go, look at what it is. But what happens is I make a decision because I'm fearful, and I can cite several instances where I've made that decision to push ahead and it was not the right decision. And I can cite instances in my professional life, I can cite instances in my personal life where I was like, okay, I'm going to move ahead because I was scared of whatever may or may not happen if I didn't.
It's been fascinating. So it was a fascinating conversation, because coming at it from the other side, it was fascinating for me to recognize that your response to the fear or reaction to the fear was to plow ahead faster.
Right.
Which actually causes me more fear. But for you, that's what you did to alleviate the fear. And that for you, standing still or holding back was more fearful than plowing ahead. The other thing that's been interesting about this is having those moments, because I've had a similar moment for something different, where you've been talking to someone for a long time. And this is part of what I love about having a good marital relationship, is that you have somebody that you can trust, who knows you well, who loves you, who can sometimes see things in you that you can't see in yourself, and is patient to work through it with you, because it is hard for us. There are certain things in ourselves that are really hard to see. And I've had a similar experience to you, that we had something that you would often say to me. For me, it was limitations. You would often say, well, the only limitations in life are the ones that you set, that you create for yourself.
The only limits in life are the limits you place on yourself.
And I grew up very much feeling like there were very many limitations. There were, and we'd had a lot of discussions about this. And there was this one moment in time where it just, I don't know how to describe it, and maybe people have had this same experience, like an aha moment, but for whatever reason, I saw things differently. And I looked back at past experiences and things that I thought were legitimate barriers. I looked at it and I was like, that was a self-limitation. That wasn't a real barrier. Like, I was placing that limitation there, but I had never seen it. I couldn't see it until something had happened. And I don't even remember exactly what happened that helped. I think oftentimes it's a journey that we go on, but it's an amazing experience when you have been working on something and all of a sudden you're like, oh my gosh, I see that. I didn't see it before. And it's humbling, because it can be humbling, especially when you're like, this person has been telling me. So they've seen it. Like, they've kind of seen it. And even in their telling me, I didn't see it until now.
Right.
And all of a sudden when you see it, you're like, oh my goodness, now I can see it all over the place. Like, I see it in a lot of places.
Yeah.
And not in a bad way, but you
that relates a little bit to the conversation that we had last week, as far as once you see it everywhere.
You see it everywhere. And so, but it's a beautiful thing to look at and be like, okay, now that I see it, it's almost, at first it's a little bit humbling and a little bit scary. And then I feel like it starts to be this place where you're like, it's a gift, because now you're like, oh, I see that. Now, because I see it, I'm not fighting against it anymore. I can figure out how to work with it. Now that I see it, I'm like, okay,
Right.
What do I do with that now?
So the scripture that I love is, it's because thou hast seen thy weakness, thou shalt be made strong. Mm-hmm. But we have to see it before you can actually be made strong, before I can actually work on it, which is why this revelatory instance of, oh, I'm acting in fear.
Right.
All of a sudden now I can question my motive, and in what we're currently doing, we discuss together a lot about what decision we're going to make going forward. Mm-hmm. And I can know now that if I'm feeling like we need to move ahead, I can pause and say, okay, am I feeling that because of good research and understanding, or am I feeling that because I'm fearful that I'm going to miss out on something if we don't move ahead? And if it's the latter, I'm fearful because we're going to miss out, then I need to reevaluate and step back. For example, yesterday we were talking through a decision that we needed to make, and because I had recognized this, it was easier to arrive at a decision that was collaborative between the two of us than one that was one-sided. Like, for example, in the past, I feel like a lot of times you would say, well, we'll just do it your way. Like, you would give in because you would look at yourself and say, well, I'm always in analysis, or I'm always holding us back.
At some point we have to make a decision. So
Right.
yeah, let's just do it.
Let's just do it.
Yeah.
But yesterday I felt like we both made the decision in a collaborative way, different than we ever had before.
Mm-hmm. As you were talking, I was thinking of Chris Voss and negotiations.
Yes.
And one of the things I learned from when you read his book, and I still need to read it, but I've watched a lot of the videos.
Because I show them to her.
Yes. And what is it called? The Art of Negotiating?
His is...
I know it's Chris Voss.
Hold on.
While you're thinking of it.
Yeah, well, I'm thinking of what it is.
As you were talking, it helped me to recognize how important it is. Like, in his book, he talks about labeling an emotion. Like, if you label it, then it helps you know what to do with it.
Right.
And so I feel like that's kind of what you're saying, is you're looking at it saying, okay, I'm feeling something right now. Am I feeling...
Never split the difference.
Never split the difference. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you. That's good.
I was like, I have no... For whatever reason, that name had lost my head, but I've read it several times, and I love his book, Never Split the Difference.
Never split the difference. And he talks about part of the negotiation, that when he would negotiate hostage situations, labeling what they were dealing with was important.
Yeah. Labeling the emotion. Labeling the feeling.
Mm-hmm.
It seems you're feeling angry. It seems you're feeling frustrated. It seems like you're feeling happy. Right. Labeling those emotions.
So in this situation, looking at being like, okay, I am feeling pressure. Is that pressure fear, or is that pressure a legitimate, and not that I'm saying fear isn't legitimate, but is that pressure because of the situation that needs to happen?
I think that's a great one. I mean, look at it and say, why am I feeling the fear?
What am I feeling?
And am I basing my decision on that fear?
Right.
Or what do I need to do to mitigate that? What more information do I need to have in order to get to a better decision?
And I love it because as you look at, Chris Voss's book, he is dealing with life and death situations and hostage negotiations.
Right.
And I love that he teaches you how to get through it rather than fearing the worst or throwing up your hands or thinking there's no hope. And I feel the same, that this can help us as we go through our lives. It's like, okay, I can get through this situation, and I can get through it in a way that I'm learning about myself and making better decisions, not just plowing my way through it or hiding and hoping it goes away, whichever.
So hiding and hoping it goes away, I think I want to talk about one more thing in relation to this. And that was something you talked about a little bit earlier, is transparency. One of the things that you had said in being able to discuss what we're discussing now in regards to me recognizing what I do as a response or a reaction to fear also required both of us to be transparent in this sense. We've been married long enough that I know, for the most part, something that will cause you angst. Mm-hmm. I know if I bring something up, it's going to cause you, just because of our past experience. And I made a commitment to myself, and I think this was probably several months ago. I don't know if it was a year ago, but several months ago, that it didn't matter what your reaction would be, what Jamie's reaction would be. I was going to be transparent with whatever it was I was thinking, with whatever it was I was feeling, with whatever it was I was doing. I was going to be completely transparent. In fact, well, I'll get into that in a second. But, sorry, I just had 3 thoughts. I'm going to stick with the thought that I currently have. So the transparency then required a little bit of courage, because some things I knew that you were going to be...
that it was going to elicit a certain kind of response.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That you were either going to be mad or angry or upset or frustrated or nervous or anxious or whatever it was. But I didn't realize this as much. I did a little bit, but I didn't realize this as much, that you also felt the same way, that you could say, you knew things that you could say, or that you would say if you've been thinking about something, that would elicit a certain emotion in me. Mm-hmm. And if we didn't want to deal with those emotions, we just wouldn't bring it up.
Right. Or when the one asks, are you doing okay, or is there something bothering you? You can be like, oh no, I'm fine. I don't want to bring it up.
Right.
And now what we're trying to do is be just genuinely transparent. So if I don't want it, because it's okay to not be ready to talk about something.
True.
You can be like, yes, there is something bothering me. It's about this, but I'm not in a place I want to talk about it yet, because whatever.
Right. Whatever the reason
it's
might
just
be.
It's just being, yeah, totally. But I think an important part of that is the giving each other the latitude to, it's just because it's very raw. Do you know what I mean? Like, you really are giving the person how you feel in that moment, and that requires some trust and a little bit of like, okay, we can circle back to this if we need to, or you're feeling that way right now, but maybe you won't be tomorrow when you've gotten some rest, or there's a lot to it. And just being...
So one of the things that I felt, or that I started to do, is when you asked me, so what are you thinking? Mm-hmm. I mean, that could be any number of things at any given time.
Right.
And I have I don't know if you've noticed or not, but I've strived diligently to just say exactly what it was I was thinking about.
Yeah, I've noticed.
Has that made a difference?
Yeah. Because it's helped me realize that there are things that you worry about that I didn't think you ever worried about. It's like, isn't that funny? I'm like, oh, he's worried about that. That's good.
Well, but it's fair that you say that, because often I wouldn't say any of those things. Life was always rosy and positive in outlook. And the reason why I do that is because I always wanted to present a strong front that, that you're protected, that you're safe, mm-hmm. that you can be, that you're in a secure situation. And if my thought and feeling is if I tell you what I'm worried about, that would cause you even more worry, concern, and angst. But I don't think that's the case anymore. I think it's like we're more just being transparent with each other, and that allows us to see each other in our natural environment.
Yes. In
our raw environment. In fact, I've actually contemplated a science fiction book that I wanted to write. And this science fiction book would be on a world where when you got married or when you got bound together, you immediately saw each other's thoughts. All thoughts, past, present, future. You saw them all as they were happening, and what was, you had immediate access to all of their memories. And it would be like this moment where when the words were spoken and you were bound together, that all of a sudden it's like the doors opened and your thoughts were immediately flooded. And that in this world, you prepared for that moment. So there was all kinds of things that you did to prepare for that moment, when now you're sharing someone else's thoughts completely. And it didn't matter if you were separated by physical distance or anything, you always could see one another's thoughts in the moment. And I've often thought, what would that be like for Jami to be in my brain and for me to be in her brain and to be able to see those thoughts? And would we be, how do you work with those? Because I'm telling you right now, there's a lot of thoughts that I have across a lot of different subjects, and some that I don't want to share, that are completely not something that I would want to share at all.
It is an interesting.
And so how would that change the relationship?
Right. Yeah.
What are you thinking?
that one, preparation for that would be really good and important. Two, do we genuinely love someone when we see who they really are? In the sense that if you could actually go inside of somebody's brain and know all of the thoughts, that would there be a place where you're like, oh, I understand why you think that way, and you are able to genuinely love that person more because you have better understanding. It's an interesting thought with a lot of ramifications.
That's
why it's science fiction.
That's why. And the other thought that I had is, in this world, that, not only that would happen, but also there's, how, like I was saying, young men, young women prepare for it. But if there's ever a breakup, if there's a binding break, what that looks like.
Yeah.
Because once you're bound together, and in this world, I was thinking, okay, are the rules of this world that you stay bound no matter what? It's kind of like, wow. So anyway, all of that to say, transparency is something that I look at and cherish and value, and requires a significant level of trust.
Yeah.
Because I trust you implicitly.
That's why when we talk about where we are in transparency now, it is years and years and years of shared experiences, and of sometimes shared arguments, and coming back together and trying to understand one another again. And I guess I just want to say that there is a huge amount of value, infinite value, in not giving up on that, on coming back and striving, both people coming back to strive to be like, all right, let's better understand each other. And that it's a good amount of work. There's so many times now that we've been married as long as we have that I'm like, I would have thought that we would have this mastered by now. That after this many years,
surprise you.
Yes, and I'm still surprised by things, and which is great, but sometimes surprising. But I'm like, thought I knew this about you,
You're like,
and
which is
I'm totally
great,
surprised.
kind of, but.
But it does lend itself to recognizing that no matter how long you're with somebody, giving people the opportunity to change and to grow, and to, because sometimes I look at it and I'm like, yeah, maybe that was how you were before, but you've changed, you've grown, you don't have those same thoughts and feelings anymore, and to give you the place to change, and as you've given me the place to change, to not hold us always to the one person that we were in that one moment or that period of time. It's like, yeah, I did do that, and I've grown since then. I think
that's probably one of the most difficult things in a long-term loving relationship, is to allow people the opportunity to change. And here's what I mean by that. I've established a pattern of behavior over several years, and now I change that pattern of behavior. That pattern of behavior, though it's different, you still have 10 years of that pattern being exactly the same. And it's like, wait, you didn't.
And sometimes a lot
like,
of effort to understand and like be okay with it.
Right.
And then, and so it is interesting. We've talked a little bit about this
and to
too,
understand myself that
yes.
because we were just talking about this as far as the changes that I've been going through in the last little while are different than we've ever faced in our lives.
Right.
And those changes, you're like, but wait a second.
But
like, for example, we were talking about writing.
Yes.
And I was telling you about how I was looking at writing articles, and I'm looking at not writing articles anymore. And you're like, but wait a second. I thought you really liked that. You like writing. And what I was saying is I still love writing, but not necessarily writing to post on a certain social media platform.
Right.
But writing, for example, I love writing letters to our children who serve missions, and I love writing letters to other acquaintances and friends. And I really enjoy that process, and I enjoy that writing. So my streak of write at least one sentence daily is for a letter, article, or book. Mm-hmm. And I did enjoy writing the book, the streaking book with you, and that process of writing that book. And could I see myself writing another book? Yeah, I would. I think I would really enjoy that. It's not right now at this moment, but I defined something differently than what you had expected or had seen, and that threw you for a loop.
Yes. Because again, I was like, but I thought we've spent so much time talking about this.
I know.
And I thought I understood. And what is interesting is sometimes it can be hard to be like, okay, but you've said these things in the past, and now you're saying something different.
Yes, I am.
And that, I think we all need to give each other that opportunity to grow. And I think also recognizing that it's on both sides. Like, I need to be patient as you change, and you need to be patient with me having to be patient with you changing.
Exactly.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Or vice versa.
Well,
like recognizing that it's like, oh, you're right. I have acted this way for a long time, and now I'm acting different. And then also recognizing that it's still a part of the journey, because some of those changes are like, well, I'm just exploring something new. I don't know if it's going to stick or not stick. And other times it's like, yes, I've recognized that I've been this way, and I'm changing that. And it may take time for you to trust that that's a real change.
Right.
That it's not just something short-lived or something fickle.
And therefore, like what you said, I therefore need to express patience as well in you adapting to the change, because I may feel it fully, but until my behavior is
till enough time has combined. Yes,
it's like streaking. I mean, with any streak you look at, and it takes time to get that streak into the place where you can believe that it's going to be a consistent behavior.
Right.
Because it just is. I mean, it takes us a while for that
consistency shows credibility.
Yeah, through time.
This has been fun. Very vulnerable.
Well, that's kind of how I am.
Yes. Transparency.
We hope you've enjoyed it. This has been a fun conversation. If you would like to comment or give any thoughts, feel free to email Jami or me at Jeffery, Jeffery, at mystreaksapp.com, or
Jami, Jami, at mystreaksapp.com.
Until we talk again, we hope you have a marvelous, transparent, fantastic day. And as always,
keep streaking.